Hey, what's up guys? How you all doing out there? Before I start the video, I do want to quickly just say that I hope you're all doing your best to stay safe out there right now. I know the world's kinda in like a really crazy place and we have a lot getting thrown at us all at once and it might be too much to handle for a lot of people regardless of which side you're on. So I hope that this video and this week's chapter of Black Clover, chapter 253, was at least enough of an escape for you guys to take a break from all the drama and all the political stuff that's going on currently in the world and just have some time to enjoy yourselves reading a manga or watching a video that you enjoyed. Whether it be my video, whether it be Black Clover's chapter, or any other chapter of any other manga or any other video. Hope you guys had a chance to basically just escape from the world at least once in this past week or ever since all this stuff started. And just take the time and enjoy something. But anyway, getting into this week's chapter, chapter 253's fan translation is out, and since I'm recording this video Saturday night, by the time it goes live Sunday morning, the official translation should be out, and if I'm being honest, I am just as excited to read the official translation tomorrow, as I was, I should say, to have read it on Friday night when it came out, because this chapter was probably, in my opinion, the most epic chapter of Black Clover we've had in a long while. And that includes even chapter 244, where we officially start a fight between Dante and Yami. And don't get me wrong, that fight between Dante and Yami, that was amazing. But in my opinion, the way Tabata wrote the storytelling, or like wrote out the fight in this chapter between Vanica, Lord Pratika, and Noelle, not including Mimosa because she was mostly dealing with Wicked Tongue the entire time, but the fight between those three characters was just so exciting to read. I can't really think of any other way to describe it. And you know what, guys? I actually knew exactly how exciting this chapter will end up being Thursday night before the fan translation even came out. And that's because if you weren't paying attention on Thursday night, on Twitter, the new chapter of One Piece that's coming out this week was actually trending for a while because some spoilers came out from that chapter and something amazing happened. I'm not going to spoil it in case you guys haven't had a chance to actually read this week's chapter just yet. But something amazing happened in that chapter or in those spoilers. And once I saw them, I decided to check out this website I found a few weeks ago that actually, I believe is French. I'm not exactly sure. I had to go back and check. But I found this website that does constantly upload spoilers and, you know, other manga for like Shonen Jump and basically any other publication out there. And they actually do upload every week some scans and some spoilers to Black Clover as well. So I decided once I saw the spoilers for One Piece to go check those ones out. Now, when it comes to the Black Clover spoilers I saw on Thursday night, there wasn't really much to talk about for most of the images because for the most part they were just all very bad scans. In fact, it wasn't even scans. It kind of was like someone had just taken the chapter and just took pictures of each of the images on their phone and cropped them out and uploaded them to the website. So they weren't really anything important. There wasn't really much to talk about. We saw a little bit of the flashback that we got, or at least one of the flashbacks we got in this chapter. But the really important thing that we saw in the spoilers was actually the very ending of this chapter, which I'm just going to jump right into. And that is that we saw that at the end of the chapter, and at the time we didn't know that was the end of the chapter, but we did end up seeing that Nero actually comes out of nowhere at some point in the chapter and actually uses her sealing magic to try and steal Vanica. And just off of that image alone, I knew that this was going to end up being an extremely exciting chapter. And keep in mind, because of how poor quality that image actually was at the time, I couldn't tell that Vanica was already in her dark form when Nero came and used her sealing magic on her. Which, by the way, even though I personally didn't predict it myself that this was what Nero would end up doing, at least I don't think I did. Maybe I did in one of my videos. I don't know. I have to go back and look. But you guys who actually did predict it in the comment section of my videos, and all you guys who are on the Black Clover Reddit who predicted this, kudos to you guys. You saw that coming from a mile away when I didn't. I honestly was wondering for the whole time where Nero was since the last time we saw her was with these guys. And I just figured she was hanging out somewhere in the Heart Kingdom waiting to make her move against one of the Dark Apostles. But turns out she was actually just waiting in the winds for Noelle to push Vanica to the point where she used her dark form and then come in and use her sealing magic on her. Now, during the chapter in the flashback, we end up finding out that this was actually the plan that the four of them had came up with prior to Vanica invading the Heart Kingdom. Basically, once they had faced off against her, they were planning on pushing her to use her full power dark form. And then once she did, had Nero swoop in from off in the distance so Vanica wouldn't know she was there, surprise her, and use her sealing magic in order to seal her away. And the main question I had from that was, why did they need to wait until she was in her full power dark form in order to have Nero come in, because as far as I'm aware, there was nothing about Nero's sealing magic. I mean, sure, it's supposed to be more effective against demons, I guess, but I don't think there was, actually, I don't even think it ever said that it was more effective against demons. Because, I mean, if her sealing magic was actually more effective against demons, then how come in the reincarnation arc she didn't use that against Zagreed when they were all fighting against him? She had used her sealing magic to kind of like heal Asta's wounds and then be supportive, but at no point did she actually try to use her sealing magic during that fight to seal off Zagreed. So it really makes me wonder why they had to wait until Vanica was at full power in order for Nero to spring her trap and use her sealing magic. Because again, if her sealing magic was actually stronger against demons than against humans, then why in the reincarnation arc didn't she use it against Zagreed to try to seal him away during the fight? And if it's not stronger against demons versus humans, then why didn't she just use her sealing magic or spring the trap as soon as Vanica showed up in the throne room or in the Lord Pachika's screen room? Because I mean, obviously, as we see in the chapter, Vanica had no idea Nero was in the area. So as soon as Vanica stepped into the room, it would have been pretty easy for Nero to kind of swoop in her bird form or in her human form and basically just catch Vanica off guard. So again, why did they wait? If I missed some kind of explanation about Nero's powers that you guys picked up on, please let me know in the comment section down below, because I'm honestly really scratching my head over why they decided to wait for this moment. But yeah, like I said, Thursday night, saw this page in the spoilers, figured that this would probably be the epic moment from the chapter, because as you know, when it comes to any chapter in any manga that focuses solely on a fight, there's always one extremely epic moment in the chapter. And I figured, like I said, on Thursday night when I saw this, that this would be it. And for a lot of you, it probably is the epic moment from this chapter, but for me, the epic moment led up to this, or it was actually right before this when we were actually getting the build up to Vanica transforming into her full power dark form. Like seriously, the build up to Vanica using her full power in this chapter was insane to go through. I mean, we start off in the beginning of the chapter, right after Noelle has stabbed through Vanica like she did at the end of the last chapter, and Vanica just was like, "You want to play? 50% dark form. Oh, not having fun enough? 51%, 52, 60, 65, 66. At this point, when we got to 66, I was like, holy shit, this is the highest we have seen up to this point. You're going to stop now. You can't go any higher than this right now. There's no reason for you to go any higher. 67%. Vanica, what the fuck are you doing? And then we get the epic Super Saiyan moment for Vanica where she says that she's going full power, 70%. And it's actually kind of exciting. I skipped past it a little bit, but I'm going to go back and talk about it. When she was going from 60 to 65 to 66 to 67, she was doing that in between attacks. Like she would, like once she got to 65, I believe, she sent an attack out at Noelle. Noelle barely dodged it. She sent the next attack out at 66%. Noelle again barely dodged it. Sent the next one out at 67%. I think that one actually did end up hitting Noelle, because as we see later on, once she goes full power and we get a big wide screenshot of Noelle, we see that she does have some battle damage on her. So I think that one actually did end up hitting her. And when Vanica was like, alright, you want to play really? 70%? We saw her go Super Saiyan with her dark form, and by the way, that dark form looks amazing. I couldn't really, like I said, tell how it looked in the spoilers that I saw on Thursday, but seeing it in this fan translation, it just looks so sick. Like seriously, this transformation for Vanica just looks amazing. And I cannot wait to see what Dante and Zeno end up looking like when they go full power. If Vanica looks this amazing, then I can imagine that when it comes to Dante having some kind of like skin magic with his demon, and Zeno having bone magic, how crazy they'll end up looking. The build up to Vanica going full power in this chapter actually reminded me a lot of the first initial fight between Goku and Jiren in the Dragon Ball Super anime during the Tournament of Power. And you can disagree with me if you want to. It just, in my opinion, it actually kind of reminded me of that, because just like how we saw with Vanica, she was just going after like percentage after percentage, throwing a few attacks in there, and then just bumping up to the next percentage. We saw kind of the same thing go down with Goku fighting off against Jiren. First, he started off in just like his normal form, threw a Kamehameha wave at Jiren. Then he went to Super Saiyan, tried to attack him with that, didn't do anything. I believe he then went Super Saiyan 2, again, didn't do anything. Went Super Saiyan God, I believe, next, didn't really do anything. And then he finally went to Super Saiyan Blue. And that's when he first landed a somewhat hit on Jiren. He basically kicked him in the head, and it kind of moved it a little bit. But still, my point is that the way it's about to basically sequence the events of Vanica going from percentage to percentage, and then eventually getting to her full power, was very similar to the way Goku went from transformation after transformation, until he eventually ended up, after being pushed to the very edge by Jiren, and going into Ultra Instinct. And even though I wouldn't argue that basically Vanica going full power was as epic of a moment as we saw with Goku going into Ultra Instinct for the first time in the episode, I would still argue that the sequence that led to Vanica going full power was still as epic as the sequence that led to Goku eventually getting Ultra Instinct. Now, one thing that actually did confuse me about the chapter, and I'm hoping that it was just a fan translation and we'll get the real version of it in the official translation tomorrow, but when Vanica went full power, she said that she was going to 70%. But prior to this, we had been told that each of the Dark Tribe members are able to use 80% of their demon's power in their dark form. So why was Vanica maxed out at 70? Is this something that we were just now finding out that maybe only one of the members can go 80%? And each one of them are kind of like at a different percentage of what they can do to max it out? Like maybe Dante's able to go to 80%, and then maybe Zeno can go like 65 since he has the newest demon contract, and then Vanica can go to 70, something like that. Or maybe this was just, like I said, a fan translation error, and it was supposed to say 80%, or maybe she didn't actually go full power, she just went to 70%, and we got different dialogue during that scene. We'll have to wait till Sunday when the official translation comes out, but like I said, I was a little confused by that moment. But anyway, confusion aside, once Vanica said she was going full power, I was like, alright, yo, someone has to die. At this point, it was so epic, the sequence leading up to it, that I had completely forgotten I had seen already that Nero was going to come in at some point and seal off against Vanica. So once she said 70% full power, I was like, alright, I stopped reading for a second. I was like, alright, someone has to die. It's like this chapter is going to end with someone dying. And like I've been saying for a while now, even though I've been kind of half joking about it, I figured it would kind of be Gore I honestly got the feeling that she was going to end up dying at the end of the chapter, especially since half the chapter was basically just one giant red flag for her death. I mean, literally we got that flashback between her, Noel, and Mimosa, and Gaja, even though he wasn't really technically with them, he was kind of creeping on them from behind. But anyway, we got the flashback where the three of them were talking, and Warburtica kind of just spills the beans to them like, hey, even though I'm the princess, even though I'm supposed to be the protector of the entire Heart Kingdom, I'm scared to die, and I really don't want to die. And she starts breaking down in tears. And usually when we get a scene like that, it usually ends up leading to like a character who's afraid of dying. Especially since we saw in the flashback that Noel and Mimosa declared themselves her new best friends. Usually a scene like that, especially in the shonen type manga like Black Clover, this will lead to basically, especially since Noel was the one fighting against Vanica personally, this will lead to a moment where Noel is about to get killed off by Vanica, and Lord Vegeta jumps in her way and takes the hit for her. And even though it was a huge relief seeing Nero come in at the end and actually use her sealing magic against Vanica, I still kind of feel deep down that in the next few chapters, before this fight's over, that Vanica is going to end up breaking out of that sealing magic, and in some way or shape or form, she's going to kill Lord Vegeta, or at the very least, put her in some kind of like coma-like state, because it's pretty obvious that Tabata is leading up to Noel somehow forming a contract with Udine in order to get the major power boost she would need to actually stand a chance of defeating Vanica and avenging her mother's death. And as long as Lord Vegeta is active, Udine most likely won't transfer over to Noel. Now, because this is Tabata we're talking about, and he basically gave us a fake out with Julius' death, even if we see Lord Vegeta somewhat die on screen in these next few chapters, I have no doubt in my mind that at some point after the arc's over, we'll get revealed that she actually is still alive. But that begs the question, if Udine actually does end up forming a contract with Noel, what's going to end up happening at the end of the arc when she has to go back to Lord Vegeta? Because Udine has been passed down from queen to queen in the Heart Kingdom. Her contract has been passed down from the next generation to the next generation. She is a major part of protecting the Heart Kingdom from any foreign invaders. So once Vanica is defeated and the war with the Space Kingdom is over, Udine will have to go back to Lord Vegeta. And it's just kind of weird that Tabata would end up giving Noel this big of a power-up, only to take it away from her by the end of the arc. Although there is a moment during the first flashback where we got the giant red flags of Lord Vegeta's death, where they, although there is a moment during the first flashback where we got those giant red flags to Lord Vegeta's death, where Tabata might be setting up the idea that Lord Vegeta might be powerful enough to protect the Heart Kingdom without Udine being contracted to her. Because when the three of them are talking, Lord Vegeta is mentioning the fact that, Noel and Mimosa are so amazing because of how far they've come over the short period of training. And when they try to compliment her, she says, I'm nothing special. All my powers have been gifted to me from the previous generations of the queens. I'm not really worthy of them. And we get this small text bubble from Undine where she actually compliments Lord Partika's own magical abilities and basically says she's being modest and just has no self-confidence, so she needs to believe in herself more. And I think that scene is basically just there to kind of foreshadow the idea that maybe by the end of all this, Lord Partika will realize that maybe she's strong enough, or she actually does have the power to protect the Heart Kingdom without having to bring back the contract with Undine. So maybe this will be a way for Tabata to basically, if he does give Noelle the power up, for her to keep it permanently for the rest of the series. Or actually, real crazy thought, Noelle is royalty. I mean, sure, she's royalty of the Clover Kingdom, but she's still royalty, and Lord Partika does trust her and care for her as a friend. Wouldn't it be kind of interesting if at the end of this, if Lord Partika ends up dying and she passes Undine's contract off to Noelle, if Noelle inherits the Heart Kingdom and becomes a new princess/queen? I mean, again, I doubt that's going to end up happening, but it'd be a twist that I doubt anyone would really see coming. We don't really get to see much of Mimosa in the chapter. We just get this little brief moment where we check in on her fight with Lickitung, and we see that she still has him wrapped up in her vines. And it kind of looks like that maybe he's trying to use his tongue to wrap her up as well. It was kind of hard to tell from the way the panel was positioned. But like I said, we don't really get to see much of their fight. It's just a quick check-in so that Tabata can kind of remind us, hey, this fight's still going on. Even though we are focusing mostly on this fight, we still do have this second fight over here. And it's a little disappointing because I was actually really hoping that we'd focus on that fight more. Because I'm really pulling for Mimosa to get some kind of major power up, find out she has some kind of like new fighting transformation, just like how all the other characters who she's with do end up having. But maybe this is kind of hope. Maybe the fact that we did check in with it so that we don't forget about it is Tabata basically saying, hey, don't forget about this fight. Something epic's going to happen in this fight later on. We're not focusing on it right now, but in the next few chapters, when we do focus on it, we'll get to see Mimosa do something amazing. So real quick, I kind of just noticed something while I was recording this video, and that's that basically Tabata's kind of broken up the fights between each of the Dark Triad members versus some of the main cast by basically changing the level of preparedness that the main characters have when it comes to facing off against their Dark Triad member. Because alright, if you think back to the beginning of this arc, we had Yuno and the Golden Dawn facing off against Xeno, and they were completely underprepared, even though, as we saw from the episodes that are technically filler but still technically canon at the same time from the anime, that all the Magic Knight captains were aware of the Dark Triad, knew that they were tied to demons in some way, and how extremely powerful they were, and the fact that they were going to be coming to invade the Clover Kingdom, the Diamond Kingdom, and the Heart Kingdom at some point, and they were told that they had to train to face against these demons. The Golden Dawn, and especially Yuno, were still very underprepared to fight against Xeno. And then when we look at the Black Bulls facing off against Dante, they were pretty much just as underprepared to fight off against Dante because of the fact that he basically snuck up on them, which they kind of should have saw coming since they were literally right outside the Spade Kingdom territory. But still, they snuck up on him, and they were so completely underprepared for him that he almost killed Gouch. But they were still more prepared to fight against him than the Golden Dawn and Yuno were, because they had Asta, who has demonic powers, and they had Yami, whose magic abilities is naturally strong against demons. So again, a new level of preparedness. They were just a little bit more prepared to fight against Dante than the Golden Dawn were. And then we have the current fight, Vanica versus Noelle, Lord Partika, and Mimosa, and Nero. Almost forgot about Nero. But with this fight, we see that even though these characters are vastly underpowered compared to Vanica, when she starts to go into her dark form and even when she goes into her full power, because of the fact that they knew exactly what her abilities were, they had planned ahead specifically to fight against her. So they were extremely prepared for this fight. Now, their plan's probably not going to work out, but still, they were vastly more prepared than any of the other fights were. And because of that, they, at the end of the chapter, are seemingly winning against her. So yeah, that's just a little something I noticed while I was recording this video. It actually is kind of interesting, and it's actually a cool way for Tabata basically to keep each of these fights from getting stale, because how many times can we actually just watch the Dark Triad members come in and basically just dominate against the characters like we saw Xeno do against the Golden Dawn? He has to change it up every now and then, so that's what he did. He basically changed it up so that Asta kind of put up a fight against Dante, and then Yami came in and he's actually holding his own against Dante. And then again, like I said, when we check in with this fight, even though they are weaker than Vanica, they were more prepared, so they actually are pretty much winning this fight by the end of the chapter. But there's pretty much all there is to talk about from the chapter, guys. That's pretty much it for the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts and theories, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.